The storm raged, its fury unrelenting. Waves crashed against the hull of the ship, a symphony of chaos and destruction. Lightning illuminated a figure on deck, his silhouette a stark contrast against the tempestuous backdrop, a beacon of defiance. This was no ordinary man. This was Blackbeard, the most feared pirate of the seven seas.
The mere mention of my name sends shivers down the spines of even the bravest sailors, for they know what I am capable of.
He stood tall, a pirate king amidst his domain, the untamed seas, commanding respect and fear in equal measure. Blackbeard was more than just a pirate. He was a force of nature, an unstoppable storm in human form. His story was one of ambition, ruthlessness, and an insatiable hunger for freedom and power. Born Edward Teach, he shed his given name and embraced the legend of Blackbeard, transforming into a symbol of fear and rebellion. He became a phantom of the high seas, a symbol of defiance against the established order, a ghostly figure in the mist.
The Caribbean, in the early 18th century, was a powder keg of opportunity, ripe for those daring enough to seize it. It was the golden age of piracy, where fortunes were made and lost on the turn of the tide, and legends were born.
European powers vied for control of lucrative shipping routes, their ambitions clashing on the high seas, their treasure-laden galleons tempting targets for audacious seafarers who saw opportunity in every sail on the horizon. Blackbeard thrived in this volatile environment, his cunning and ruthlessness unmatched by any other. He rose through the ranks, his cunning and ruthlessness unmatched, a master strategist and fearsome warrior. The man was as unpredictable as the sea itself, a living embodiment of its wild and untamed spirit. His exploits became legend, whispered in hushed tones in taverns from Tortuga to Nassau, tales of his daring and ferocity.
My story is more than just plunder and treasure. It is a testament to the indomitable human spirit. It is a rebellion against the constraints of a world that sought to confine men like me, a fight for freedom and autonomy.
He was a declaration that even in the face of empires, a single man could make a difference. Freedom could be found on the open sea, where the horizon was the only limit. The late 17th and early 18th centuries marked a time of unprecedented maritime lawlessness, where the seas were ruled by those who dared to defy the established order. This was the golden age of piracy, a period that saw the rise of some of the most infamous pirates in history. The Caribbean, a crossroads of trade and ambition, became a breeding ground for these maritime outlaws who saw opportunity in the chaos. Privateers, once sanctioned by governments to disrupt enemy shipping, often turned to outright piracy when their letters of marque expired, seeking fortune and freedom on their own terms. Blackbeard, however, was not driven by mere opportunism or the lure of gold alone. He possessed a sharp intellect and a charisma that drew men to his cause, making him a natural leader among pirates. He understood the power vacuum that existed in the Caribbean, a region ripe for exploitation. He exploited it with ruthless efficiency, orchestrating attacks with precision and cunning. He established a base on the island of New Providence, a haven for pirates and a thorn in the side of the British Empire, which struggled to maintain control. His fleet grew, as did his reputation, attracting more men to his banner. He cultivated an aura of invincibility, a larger-than-life figure who seemed unstoppable. He instilled fear in the hearts of his enemies, becoming a phantom that haunted shipping lanes and merchant vessels. Blackbeard's name became synonymous with daring raids, cunning strategies, and a ruthless disregard for authority, making him a legend in his own time. He challenged the very notion of power, operating outside the confines of nations and laws, creating his own rules. He built his own empire, one plunder at a time, amassing wealth and influence. This was Blackbeard's golden age, a time when he ruled the seas with an iron fist. The Caribbean trembled before him as his power and influence grew. His legend was etched in the annals of history, a testament to the untamed spirit of a man who dared to challenge the world and left an indelible mark on history. Blackbeard understood the power of fear, and he wielded it like a weapon. He was a master of psychological warfare, knowing exactly how to manipulate the minds of his enemies. He cultivated an image that struck terror into the hearts of sailors, ensuring his reputation preceded him. His appearance was as menacing as his reputation, a true embodiment of fear on the high seas. He was said to be a giant of a man with a long, thick beard that reached his chest, adding to his fearsome presence. He braided his beard and tied ribbons into it, creating a unique and terrifying look. During battle, he would weave lit fuses into his facial hair, a tactic that made him appear otherworldly. The fuses would smolder and smoke, surrounding his head in an eerie halo, making him look like a demon. This spectacle, combined with his booming voice and piercing gaze, was enough to unnerve even the most hardened sailor, leaving them paralyzed with fear.
His eyes, they burn with an intensity that can freeze a man in his tracks, making them feel as if they were staring into the abyss.
The smoke from his beard, it makes him look like a demon from the depths, a creature born of nightmares.
Blackbeard knew that victory was often achieved before the first shot was fired, through sheer intimidation. He understood that breaking the spirit of his enemies was as valuable as any cannon fire, if not more so. His legend, carefully crafted and ruthlessly enforced, became his most potent weapon, a tool of psychological dominance. Tales of his exploits were exaggerated and spread throughout the Caribbean, each story more terrifying than the last. These stories were designed to instill fear and doubt, ensuring that his enemies were defeated before they even saw him. They painted a picture of a man who was not to be trifled with, a living nightmare on the high seas.
Blackbeard became a bogeyman of the high seas, a name that invoked dread and despair.
His name, whispered in fear, spread like wildfire among sailors, is enough to make even the bravest sailor question his courage, wondering if they would survive an encounter with the infamous Blackbeard.
The year was 1718. Blackbeard, at the height of his power, set his sights on Charleston, South Carolina. One of the wealthiest ports in the American colonies, Charleston was a prize too tempting to resist. In May of that year, Blackbeard's fleet, consisting of 4 ships and over 300 men, sailed into Charleston Harbor. The pirates effectively blockaded the port. They captured several ships attempting to enter or leave Charleston. Among the hostages taken was a prominent local figure, a leverage point in Blackbeard's plan. He demanded a chest of medicine in exchange for the release of the hostages and an end to the blockade. The citizens of Charleston were terrified. Blackbeard's reputation preceded him. They knew of his ruthlessness and feared for their city.
The governor of South Carolina, Charles Craven, was a man of action. He refused to negotiate with pirates. He gathered the militia and any available ships to confront Blackbeard.
For days, the standoff continued, a tense game of cat and mouse between the pirate fleet and the colonial defenses. Blackbeard, true to his word, held firm. The blockade of Charleston was a bold move, a testament to Blackbeard's audacity and his willingness to challenge even the most established powers.